Good morning, welcome back to Built by Bo. Today we're back with Smokey. As you guys know or don't know, I've been detailing this car now for I don't know, a couple weeks now. Just working out the bugs, little squeaks and groans, and doing some tuning and doing some little mods here and there as I've been driving it. Some of the stuff has been off camera, some of the stuff has been filmed, so I'll give you a little update of the little things that I've done on it so far. Today we are getting ready to do the last few things before we can throw some paint at the primered area. So we're going to start working on sanding the front bumper and getting all the whiskey burns and stuff like that out so we can get the front bumper in primer. After the front bumper's been in primer for a couple of days and then the primer's finished degassing, then we can pick a nice day where we can mask the car out and throw some paint on the primed areas. So along with the new bumper, we are going to do the headlight kit from LMR. This is just your basic stock headlight replacement kit from LMR. It's not a clear lens, it's just a nice stock, clean looking factory lens. I did have these in the Turbo Rustang, and then since then I've gone to the smoke lenses, so had these in the car for about 2 months I think, and then took them out. So the part number of the smoked kit from LMR is FR121-6AS, and the other part number obviously will not be the same for the clear lens. I think the clear lens one is 119 US, I think, and I believe the smoke lens is 149 US. I'll put those links in the description below. One thing to remember with this kit is you will be taking your black backing off your factory headlight and mounting it onto the LMR headlight. It does not come with the adjuster screws or the backing plates for the headlight. So it's not super hard to swap over. It's just 3 of these clips. Now, I did find that when I did one of them, it was a little bit tight. I had to dig around in the hole a little bit to make it a little bit better. But other than that, everything worked out well. And then you can just make sure you also free up your adjuster screws before you put the headlights in the bumper back in, or else it'll be a pain in the butt to adjust the headlights after. And obviously with a different headlight with your factory backing, you still will need to adjust the headlights. This is some of the marker lights in the kit. As you can see, they're very, very clean looking. Quite a bit different from the original, especially you can see the difference between those two. Like, it's just absolutely a night and day difference by putting these headlights in. So for right now, what we're gonna do is work on sanding the bumper on the car and see how these whiskey burns and stuff start coming out. And then once I'm done being aggressive with the bumper, then I'll get it re-pulled off and start doing final sanding on the stand. So we'll get on that. So I have done a few things lately. Starting with the wheels, I did change the wheels up to a 16-inch ASA wheel. While I had the front end apart, I lowered the front just a tad, just to get a little bit of a better look from the front. It looked like it was a monster truck before. I have sanded down and primed all the moldings, as well as I have cut the dump off the exhaust, the side exit dump, and I have attached on a tailpipe and dumped it in front of the rear axle. Now, as you can see here with the exhaust, what I've done is actually added a hanger into the spot of the transmission cross member. Like I had mentioned, I've tweaked the exhaust up to get it a little bit further off the ground, and then I have gone away with the cheesy mount that I had put on just to get the car going, and I have actually added a partial tailpipe down, and I've dumped it down in front of the rear axle, which takes away a lot of the drone. And I'm really happy with the exhaust just like that, and that's how I'm going to leave it for the time being. And also, you seen in my last video that I had done the rear quarter panel patch panel, so that's all happy with that. I also have repaired the hole that was in the rear of the bumper, so that's ready for more prep work. Same on this side, I have repaired the little mark on the wheel well here. I had to pull it out, weld a nut to it, and use my slide hammer to pull out the wheel well. It was just a little bit of a pushed in a little bit there with a little whiskey burn. So we have brought that back out and finished painting all the rest of the moldings and primer on this side. as well as we've gone to the her style shifter for the line lock. The factory button that comes with that line lock from Amazon rattles when you drive and it drives you crazy, so upgraded to that Hearst handle. And they're not cheap anymore, about 140 bucks. So today we're going to get this bumper off and start sanding. All right, so we've got the first stage done. Now the reason why I went so aggressive is because I noticed the paint was starting to peel in the areas that where it was hit. So when it hits, the bumper flexes and then the paint starts to peel. And as I was sanding it, or even by hand, it was actually then peeling off. So obviously this has had a bad primer at some point. So in all the areas where the paint was definitely 100% loose, I wanted to make sure I knocked that down to, you know, pretty much where there's no more loose paint, because I don't want to primer it and paint it and then have it peel like, you know, a few weeks or a month or even 2 months, whatever, down the road. So make sure you get all the loose paint off. And then from there, now I'm going to just do some small repairs. There's some small little scrapes and dents in the corner on this side. That side's pretty good. So I'm going to add a little bit of glaze putty to these spots, resand them, and then the whole bumper will get sanded in 400. And then we'll shoot it with some primer. All right, so we've got most of the prep work done here, a little bit of spot filled up on here. We've got it sanded down to 400 now in the majority of the places. So at this point now, I'm gonna pull the bumper off and finish the sanding and get some primer on this bumper. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the videos before, the bumper isn't that bad to take off. You have your headlight socket, your 2 marker sockets on each side. You've got an 8mm here and there, plus you have, I think, 5 or 6 7/16 or 11mm that go down through the nose cone down here, and you have 4 7/16/11mm that go from the bottom of the bumper up into the rad support, and that's it. The bumper will come off. I only have a couple of bolts in each corner because I knew I was taking this bumper back off for sand work and paint work. So I'm just gonna rip the bumper off right now, and we'll get it on the stand. Now seems to be as good a time as ever to take out the old headlights and everything. So 7/16, there's 3, 2, 2 on each side, and keep all the hardware as you're going to need them for your new stuff. Okay, so now I've got it all stripped down. Headlights and everything are all out. I'm gonna continue sanding, but I gotta head off to work, so I'll see you tomorrow and we'll start getting this in primer. Talk to you then. Well, good morning, welcome back. So just got out of the nick of time yesterday. It started pouring rain, so I did get the bumper all sanded down into 400, other than where I have to do by hand. So this morning I'm just gonna go over everything with 400 wet dry. Get it all sanded up the best I can. We're gonna spray it off, wash it down with some soap and water, and then we are going to blast it with some primer. So let's get going on that. Okay, so you've got the bumper all down to 400 now. Wet sanded the whole thing, all the areas I could see and get my fingers into, and I've gave it a bath. So now we're just going to spray it off with some air, compressed air, and get as much water out as we can, and hopefully the weather will hold out and I can start spraying it with some primer. I'm using some self-etching primer. I'm by far not a body man. I'm a mechanic by trade, so I'm definitely not an expert painter in any way, so don't be too judgy with the painting. I'm just trying to make this bumper look better than it did, and with the best of the knowledge that I know. So that being said, we're going to get this blown off now and try and get some primer on it. Okay, so I have wiped all the water off, blew out all the corners the best I could. I then just masked off some areas I didn't want to get primer in or necessarily overspray in, and I wiped it down with some thinners actually for this application, because that's what I had. You can use wax and grease remover or whatever happens to be, but just want to wipe off any oils or anything before you lay down your primer, because your primer is your base. Everything sticks to the primer. If the primer doesn't stick, the paint won't stick either. So we're going to hit this with some primer now. So for our first coat, it looks way, way better. It's amazing when everything's all one color. But we'll let this tack up a little bit and then, or flash off as some people say, and we'll hit it with a second coat. All right, so 3 coats in on the main part and maybe 4 or 5 on the parts that really needed it. So it's looking pretty good. There's still a few little imperfections, but I'll give it another little sand down once it's dry before I do the paint, and maybe it'll help it out a little bit. But I mean, it's 100% better than it was, that's for sure. So right now what we'll do is I'm going to let this degas today, and tomorrow is supposed to be nice. Tomorrow I might try to get some paint on this and the car. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we'll see what tomorrow brings, and if it's a good day, we'll keep going. All right, we've got moldings down, sanded 400. So all sanded down there, and just had a bath. Bodywork on the wheel well. Back bumper. So basically on the back bumper, we're just going from the top line down. Fix a little spot on the trunk to spot that in. So from here, we're gonna pray for some nice weather tomorrow or the next day. We're gonna get this masked out, get some paint on it, but for right now, I gotta head off to work. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoy the videos, and I'll see you next time.